Man, we're reporting that one of the Iranian commanders have admitted to pursuing a nuclear bomb, and it's not surprising that they would do that after you'd have knocked off about 50 of their damn leaders. Who wouldn't pursue something to keep a rogue imperialist nation, and they themselves is a rogue imperialist nation that themselves, yes they are, and so being that they are that and they want to compete amongst imperialist rogue nations, then they would pursue to acquire a nuclear weapon, just like North Korea, China, all of them, trying to keep the United States off their ass. And so, yeah, they admitted to it. And listen, uh, they say when you become a nuclear capable, that a certain black power, a certain level of responsibility come over you. That you can't drop this shit on the planet like that. But can you trust Iran? Of all people, to me they just like the Israelis. You can't trust neither one of them. The Israelis is itching to drop a goddamn nuclear bomb on their ass. They are. They are. And before they let them get, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. I have no doubt about it, because they don't have no other choice. They are surrounded on all sides by Arab Islamic nationals, and they play games with each other. You got Saudi Arabia playing a game, they playing a game. Hell no, you can't trust Iran. You know damn well they've been to let some shit off. That's the nature of the Iranians. That's their motherfucking nature. So, most definitely, they're gonna have to go in there and deal with them. They're gonna have to deal with them because everybody else got their shit. China don't really flex with their nukes. Uh Russia don't Russia flex. They do. Russia flex. That motherfucker Vladimir was threatening that motherfuckers, if motherfuckers what put boots on the ground in Ukraine, he did. He issued a threat on them nukes. So Russia most definitely they saber rattle with them nuclear weapons. And I believe because they army ain't all that strong. You got to understand that a lot of these European nations is in a negative birth rate. You see, they in a negative birth rate. And so, they don't have the type of manpower that black people have, and other peoples, but most definitely black people, who is the most prosperous and the most plentiful, you see, of all peoples on the planet by far. You feel me? And so they know damn well that they don't have the army that they used to have. They don't. They don't have that. A lot of these Neanderthals is old. They are old, and so they was all right having some of these immigrants in there for a minute. But it's time, at this point where their numbers are diminishing, they had to get some of them out of here, so that if they do have to get into it with somebody, that they ain't got an overwhelming number of immigrants from that particular country inside the borders of the United States. And so that's why they getting a lot of them damn Hispanics up out of here, because a lot of them is illegal anyway. But I do believe that a lot of they jumped on Venezuela, they're gonna jump on some more of them. Because, if they try to side with China or Russia, any of them southern countries down there in South America and Latin America, the U.S., they intentions is to go to war with them motherfuckers and overtake their ass. You feel me? So that's why they putting a lot of them out of here, because they don't want to have a Trojan horse, inside the army. Yeah, they been downsizing because they thought they was the only motherfucking superpower. You know, they didn't. But China and India, India, and I think they feel like, if they had to drop a nuclear bomb, if it get like that, then they'll just drop a nuclear bomb. They'll just drop it. But you ain't winning no wars. You talking about total destruction of the fucking planet. You know, and they don't give a damn. They on their way out any damn way. America is the last stronghold of the Caucasian race. That's it. They ain't gonna be able to fight nobody after that. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. You can see that in all the armies. Man, Europe is so deep. The armies in Europe look so ragtag. I mean, it almost looked like a circus. Say the military recruitment is going up. I heard that's what they said, it was going up. Yeah, I ain't for all that crazy ass nuclear shit. Man, I used to be fucking terrorized as a child when the Soviet Union and the United States, was, locked, they was locked in the Cold War. And man, I used to stay by the city airport in Detroit. And at night when the planes would be landing, I used to think it was a nuclear war. When I hit it, because the planes would fly damn right over my house. That's how close I was to the damn airport. So when they get ready to land, man, the airplane will be shaking the goddamn house. And man, I wake up and it's dark outside and you can see the goddamn lights shining in the house. I say, oh my God, it's a fucking nuclear war. Man, I literally, I used, at times I knew it was but at times I didn't. If I was deep sleep, it'd catch me off guard because the house would be shaking before I could realize uh it was one of the planes going to the fucking city airport. Yeah, I know it's fucked up out here. They forcing motherfuckers to go to the military. But and the goddamn, they get, like I say, they fucking computerized and AI robots and drones and shit, humanoid robots and shit is taking over a lot of shit. Man, shit, I knew that a long time ago. Robotics was always slated to take over. So motherfuckers just wait, you wait too goddamn late to respond to this shit. You know, you wait, but I believe, our people will adjust and develop. They're gonna have to, but they're gonna have to get up off of this motherfucking system. I know that. Because the longer yeah, war follows inflation. Well, they need I mean, America is a military industrial complex. They make money on war. That's why the United States been at war damn near every year of its existence. It's only been a few years. It's only been a few years in the history of the United States where they ain't been at war. And when I say a few years, I mean a few years. They done been at war for almost 200 and some odd years out of however 1776 to 2026. It's probably only been about maybe what 5 to 10 years where they haven't been at war. That's crazy. So that right there lets you know it's a military industrial complex. And they get paid. And so that's just like this $5 trillion. You know, they gonna drop all the bombs that they can and say they need some more. And they look how much they gonna get paid. Trillions. You see? Yeah, it is. Trillions. Trillions of fucking dollars to replenish the United States military. That is crazy. Yeah, it is. It is. You most definitely getting a lot of motherfuckers out the way if that's the kind of war you want to fight. If that's the kind of war you want to fight. United States claim that they ain't trying to lose all them kind of soldiers no more. But I don't believe nothing they say. I don't. But I tell you what, them Iranians saying they pursuing a nuclear bomb. And, you know, like I say, I know Islam. I know their agenda. You know, I grew up in Islam. I'm not a Muslim, but a lot of my uncles was Muslim. And I've read deep into Islam. And I know what their agenda is. And their agenda is global control. That's what it is. And if you're not a Muslim, you most definitely slated to lose your head. And even if you is a Muslim, they fight against each other, you know, and have been fighting against each other for a very long time. So, you know, how do you feel about Iran? I think Donald Trump has went far beyond the point of no return. And really, man, it's like that was a fucked up move because you can't undo what you done, you know. And so you didn't put yourself in a predicament where Netanyahu is gonna take the lead. He is in the lead, but he gonna fucking bomb Iran irrespective of any deal, of any treaty you sign with them. The Israelis is gonna bomb their ass anyway and force you back in. So that's where you fucked up even going over there, you know? And the motherfucking Iranians know your ass is in the in-between. And you know, and they got some other shit that they could do on top of that, like closing that strait over there on you know, with that the strait right there with Yemen, which is gonna heavily affect that motherfucking Suez Canal up there in Egypt. That's gonna be devastating. That's gonna be devastating. You're gonna have war all through that motherfucking region. That whole fucking region gonna be at war. And it could bring Russia, it could bring China, it could bring Pakistan, it could bring India, it could bring, man, you'll have another World War III without nuclear bombs. But I don't know if you're gonna have that many nuclear nations fighting and don't know nukes go off. Pakistan, Russia, China, United States, the Israelis. I think it's gonna be impossible. It's gonna be fucking impossible not to have some nukes go off. You feel what I'm saying? Anyway, family, leave a comment. Get over there to Patreon. The General got some fire. I'm most definitely uploading tonight. It's already stacked up over there. So when you get over there, go get that work, family. General Seti, one stop, Etsy, KingSeti.com. Get a video a thumbs up. Like it because you love it. And I'll see you back here for another video or two. And I'm out of here. Boom.